to talk about my grandfather, Nachum Tzvi ben Binyamin. He was born in Poland in 1922. He was one of 5 children of a frum family in Dumbarvitarno. My grandfather was a yeshiva bacher who never left the confines of yeshiva until he was 17 years old, on September 1st, 1939, when the Germans invaded Poland. On that day, his mother made him leave Poland, and she took him to the border of Poland and Russia and put him on a train to go to Russia. She did not want him to be conscripted into the Polish army. Chas v'shalom, you know what happens in those situations. With this move, she saved his life. In Russia, however, he was arrested for being a German spy. He was sent to a labor camp, and for the next 7 years, from 1939 to 1945, he was on the run in Russia. He was in labor camps, he was in hiding, and then finally, when the war was over, when he was 24 years old, he went back to Poland, to his hometown, only to discover that his entire family was killed by the Nazis, and he was the only survivor. He went to Paris, where he met my grandmother, who had survived Auschwitz. And together, they came to America. Had 4 daughters, and built a beautiful family here. Their 4 daughters have Baruch Hashem, and had grandchildren and great-grandchildren today that have Jewish homes filled with Torah and Yiddishkeit. Those children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren are his legacy and are a testament to the strength and courage that my grandfather displayed during his lifetime. For anyone who knew my grandfather, you would know that there's only 2 things that matter to him: family and Torah. He was generous and loving, and always happy to see me and spend time together. He was a Talmud Chacham. In his early 50s, he retired so he could have the ability to learn full-time. I remember fondly driving him to the Vishnitz Kollel in Muncie when he was well into his mid-80s. He finished Shas on average 2 to 3 times a year. He knew every Rebbe's yahrzeit and said the entire Sefer Tehillim daily. And on top of that, he also said he learned at least 18 Prakim and Mishnayos every day. His whole life was Torah. He was torn from his yeshiva bacher life, but at the first opportunity, he returned back to it. Seeing my Zaidi in his strength, he inspired me to grow and connected me to a time gone. I'm proud to be his grandson, and I will always be with him. His life was filled with emunah and absolute faith in Hashem, Yiddishkeit and Torah. And it's our responsibility to live up to those beliefs, and in doing so will honor his life. I just want to thank my aunt and uncle, Sarah and Yankel, for everything that they've done for him, taking him to their home, caring for him, and my grandmother before him, and it's a debt that I don't think I'll ever be able to fully repay. Yehi Zech Mubarak.
Thank you, Zevi. I'll ask Rav Jacobson Muradasra from Israel of Muncie to be master. Thank you.
Rosh Hashanah Shemona Esrei, describe Hashem as the Zalchet Kol HaNishmachos, remembering all that is forgotten. Explains Reb Levi Yitzchak Arditcheva, whatever we remember, Ribbana Shalom forgets, and vice versa. What we forget, he remembers. When it comes to Averis Rahman al-Islam, when we remember the Aver and do tshuva, so he forgets. A person isn't serious, doesn't care, forgets about the Averos. So those are the Averos that HaKadosh Baruch Hu remembers. When it comes to Ma'asim Tovim, to good deeds, the exact opposite is true. A person who's machzik tov la'atzmo, a person who needs kavod, remembers everything he does and expects to be properly honored, properly recognized. Such ma'asim tovim are remembered by the individual, but forgotten by God. A person, however, who lives like Reb Nachman Tzvi, Reb Binyamin, whose ma'asim tovim are done in an unassuming way, shalom manas l'kabel pras, without any expectations, without any desire for dinners or covet or plaques. such a person forgets his own Maisim Tovim, so to speak, and those are exactly the Maisim Tovim that are remembered by our Maker. Zocher kal nishkochos, we're confident that the Ribbon Shalom, as we enter the Yemei Hadin, the Yemei Harachamim, remembers over 9 decades of Maisim Tovim and B'Sniras Nefesh, Maisim Tovim that were forgotten, so to speak, by Mr. Berger. But 3 generations paid close attention, maintaining, as Zevi mentioned, his legacy, a legacy of tznius, of Zocher Kal HaNishkochos, of absolutely phenomenal hasmada, but with an ava, with a love, mitach simcha, the appreciation of family. Zocher Kal HaNishkochos, when one lives a life, shalom anas l'kabel pras, in such an unassuming way, guaranteed that the Ribbon Shalom remembers. And at this point, as we enter Yemei Harachamim, may Reb Nachum Tzvi, Reb Binyamin, service of Meilat Yel, shall go to better for his mishpacha, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and for all of Klal Yisrael, the Nishmas of Tzru and Yisrael Rachai.
I'll ask Herschel Koenig, our Magachir, and our person that's responsible to have a Daf Yomi Shir every day. I don't want to go into details, but he's a person that really, really was close to my shver, davened here always. I'll ask him to be masprit and to say a couple of words in the name of the Kehillah.
Koidem aber gewollt überbeten für Nachum Tzvi, für die Jungen, B'Shem de Shir, B'Shem de Kehillah, B'Shem jeden. Wir kennen Jungen, haben wir zugegeben, das Covid, was Tamayid, und sicher nicht für ihn. Kommen dich von der Dörfer, wie ich komme, bin doch schon geboren in Amerika. Kenne ich nicht Jungen, also ich kenne viele verstehen, was für Messias, was für Determination in der Minne, es hat genommen zu nehmen ein Mensch von 25 Jahren, ohne Yeshiva, ohne Eltern, ohne Ansprüche, wir machen von ihm ein Jid übergegeben für seine Sprüche und für den Eibischen. Ich weiß nicht, wieso, wo ist ist dort gegangen. Ich kann nur trachten, wie so ein Mann sagt, man muss für Gehör suchen. Aber zu suchen, als ich kann verstehen, das ist eine Sache, wo es liegt Archiv, in der kommenden Deures, zu trachten, in es aufzulernen, Emes Alawaya, Chaim Kudishuk, Tzadikim, bleiben du auf der Welt, es ist nur die Giftgeid, und dann darf man das alle auflernen, und so man kann verstehen, in Kotschik, Musa, Yegiya, Maasa, wo ist er steigt von Tzadikim, Temida Balshem, Yegiya, Zalushin von Urieren, so Kotsch Urieren, in unsere Maßen, sie, wie also ein Mensch, die kann rauskommen, freilich sein, sich freien mit Adavenen, sich freien mit Lernen, sich freien mit Jomte, sich freien mit Amespuche. Denn der Matze von wie ist rausgekommen, ist Lechoire, müssen wir sagen, das ist Busche, Theater der Schemaia, mit der Chateve, Stamme so, mit den Schwachkeiten von einem Mensch, weiß ich nicht, wir können das mal sagen. Unsere Pflicht ist, in so einem Wetter, gut lernen von ihm, verstehen, als es ist nicht ein Nifter, es ist Archiv, was die Jeden haben gekannt, sich gut zu lernen und fragen, was als hat gekannt, das ist am Achai, für uns alle, und sollen sich führen in den richtigen Weg. Der Eibischte soll helfen, als andere Meile zu Jösche, speziell für die alle, was haben geholfen. Und solche sein, wie es gehört zu jedem Meile.
Controversial, I'll give an amical with Prater to be masked. He's a Kohen, so we'll have to stay.
Before I start, I want to ask Mechila from Zaidi for myself, for my family, and for my siblings that we didn't give enough cover to you. We weren't helpful enough, or we didn't give enough, so hopefully you'll be Michael all of us. Also, I want to start and say thank you to Sarah and Yankel for taking care of Zaidi so wonderfully over the past over 20 years. He was living here with Bobby and then by himself for the past over 20 years. The amount of honor you gave to your parent or even father-in-law was a lot to aspire to, and hope that these life and myself do such the same thing. I had this chus a lot, I guess, to stay with Zaidi in his room. I was there a lot of times, just in the extra bed there to keep him company. And you learn a lot from a person, not just besides seeing them in shul, seeing how they act in front of everybody else, but seeing them privately in your own bedroom, in your own inner parts where not everyone's there, and still, Zaidi still acted the same way no matter what, if everyone was watching or nobody was watching. Remember, one of the earliest things I remember, which I try to still do today, is one night I was going to sleep and took off my yarmulke to go to sleep. And he said, "Why are you taking off your yarmulke?" I said, "I'm going to sleep." He said, "No, you have to be Hirsch Berger when you sleep also." So I try still to this day, I still try to wear my yarmulke at night, because that's what Zaidi was all about. Besides Asmada learning, he had such Hirsch Berger that he was worried. I think a lot of people in shul can attest also, when someone would come in, maybe without a hat and jacket, he would tell them, just a little more sternly, "Where's your hat and jacket? You're davening to Hashem. You can't daven to Hashem without a hat and jacket. That's the Hirsch Berger. You come into a shul, you have to have that covered to Hashem." And I think everyone can also see whenever they take a siddur or a chumash or gemara, anything from the house. I don't think there's any sefer like that doesn't have a page that's folded over in the corner. I think Yankel bought some other farm. He didn't want them to like that, but every single sefer, because Zaidi went through all this farm, all through Shas, all through Mishnayos, all through Tehillim, the siddur and the chumashim. He closed the page, he folded over the page, because he'll be back shortly. He has to go away, he'll be back soon. He kept his place. He went back straight to where he's learning. He didn't have to waste time to remember where he's up to. Right there, every single siddur had was a dog ear that was turned over. You know exactly where he was up to, and just continue going. It wasn't like that's just a normal thing, even though no matter what the sefer was. So we learned just to see that. Whenever sometimes, it was a long time ago, he came to our house once in a while, and we had the big chassan shas downstairs. He carried the whole thing upstairs, and he used to the same thing. Take the Gemara, just turn it over, turn the page. That's what he was up to. He fold over the pages, and just he sit down in the kitchen at the table. He had a whole stack of svarim there, Mishnayos and Tehillims, and just go through all of them. A lot of Shabbosim, I was here for Shabbosim, and I had some friends over, and he used to always tell me, like they say, I tell them, my grandfather's here also, and they were astounded that he just sat and learned all day, and sat by the table and learned. Some older people like to relax or do other things, but they just couldn't even understand that someone could just sit there and just learn all day. A lot of them like ask me, "Oh, we're going to be there for Shabbos again. I'd like to come again," because just to see Zaidi there, the way takes care of davening, and just the way he was learning, just Svada. Another thing, when we used to be with him, he used to always ask, like, what time mincha is, or what time davening is. Tell him, it's in 15, 20 minutes. So he said, okay, we'll go in 5 minutes. Even though it's not such a far walk, we'll go in 5 minutes, because that's what he had covered for davening. You're not going to get there on time, you get there early. And he'll say to him, make sure he's there on time, make sure, even though he had his seat already and he wasn't far to go. A lot of times also, Zaycha had to take him when, in the winter time when mincha was early, we took him sometimes up the block or down to Tovia's at the mincha minyan, and always there also. He knew it was a couple minutes drive. We say, no, we have to go. Let's go get there. We have to get there early. He was there early. And it's like I was saying, he's such kaychus Zayd that today is Chav Ches El. Chav Ches is kayach. That's the day he was nifter. So that shows the kayach that Zayd had. Even to the last, I was here Sunday, and to visit, and he was still a kayach. He was, even though it wasn't such, he still was. His hands were strong, and he still had kayach. And even to the last moments. He was a man full of koyach. That's